Nick Lowery, talking about victories on victory, one of the great rebels in NFL history. Let's talk about that. Jim McMahon, you're always comfortable with yourself in a time when everybody tried to fit you into that mold, but you always resisted and it made you the champion you were. Tell us, in a very intense sports world, what was it like for you being the rebel during a time when people maybe didn't initially like rebels?
I was having fun. I didn't really care what the league thought. I wore a headband. That was
that was your big rebellion.
If that was crazy, yeah, that was nuts. I wore a headband.
So 85 comes, and there was just a confidence. Some say that team was the most dominant team of all time, that it would have beaten the 17-0 Miami Dolphins. What do you think characterized that team, in your opinion? How would they have done against, let's say, the 17-0 Patriots and the 17-0 Dolphins? I know the answer to this question, by the way.
I think we would have done well. We dominated on both sides of the football. We led the league in rushing 3 straight years, which had never been done before. And we scored the most points in the league that year, or most points in the NFC. I think the Bills beat us in the AFC, but so we had a pretty damn good offense, and we held the ball for almost 40 minutes a game. So defensively, obviously we were dominant. We shut out many teams throughout the season, and then obviously in the playoffs, the first 2 games were shutouts, and the Super Bowl probably should have been if I hadn't. I screwed up the opening call. I had one guy going the wrong way, and other than that, it was a pretty dominant performance.
Okay, now with all the rules changes, every year there are new rules changes. This year there's one about the kickoffs, it goes to the 25 with a touchback. What would you think in this time the Chicago Bears of 1985 would do with the new rules changes and the different pressures on defensive backs and the protection of the quarterback, etc.?
They wouldn't make any money because they'd be fined all the time because they hit people. They knock people out, and that's the way football was,
right.
and really should be. As long as they're good, clean hits, there's nothing wrong with them. But as long as if you're using your head, as a weapon, then that's where the flag should come in. But other than that, I don't know what you can do other than take the helmets back off.
Well, you've made yourself, I think, a very important spokesman about head injuries, and you made some progress from what I understand, some of the treatments that you've had. Tell us what your journey has been like the last couple years with concussions and head injuries. We did a fundraising event a few months ago together. Anything new, any new information about that for you?
Well, at least I know what's wrong with me now. I know why I get headaches, why I get mood swings, why all I want to do is lay in my bed for weeks at a time. It's because my head's filling up with fluid because of my neck is so screwed up from playing. Getting dumped on my head by Charles Martin caused a big problem at C1 and 2, and then I have C6 and 7 are cracked and compressed. So I had a broken neck at some point. Nobody told me about that. So I'm lucky to be walking around and doing the interviews.
What advice would you give with your children? Let's say you've got a kid that's 10, 11, 12 and says, "Dad, I want to play football." What advice would you give him?
I'd say let them play football. I'd say I wouldn't let them play in pads until they were juniors and seniors in high school, because their bodies, their necks are not strong enough to play.
Okay.
I mean, they can have some serious injuries. And would your parents, want you to break your neck, or wait until you're strong enough to be able to do that? You can still play flag football. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you can get pretty damn physical in flag football. I've seen it, and you can learn techniques and you can learn how to play the game. And then by the time you're ready to put the pads on, you're ready to beat the crap out of people.
Let's talk about just the benign side of it, which is that when Jim McMahon comes to the Jerry Colangelo tournament to support prostate cancer, it adds extra luster to that event. What's that like, to have that mantle as an athlete, to be able to bring attention into sport causes like this?
I think it's great. I think people come to me because I say the things that they wish they could say, or that are thinking and they don't say. But I've never thought twice about saying it. It's just my opinion. Everybody's got them, but a lot of times I'm right, and that pisses people off. So,
who was your favorite coach after Mike Ditka and what he brought, that bravado on the Chicago Bears? Who was your favorite coach? If you've had to have another head coach during your time in the National Football League?
Well, Mike Holmgren is the best coach that I played for. The most enjoyable. I think he treated his players right. They played for him, and I'm not saying we didn't play for Mike. Even though he worked our butts off, we all respected and admired him. But I think I really enjoyed playing for Holmgren. I mean, he'd ask me every day, "You want to take any reps?" I said, "Yeah, no."
So he listened to you.
I said, "He needs it." I said, number 4 needs all the reps he can handle. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been honored to have Jim McMahon. Thanks, brother.
my pleasure.